A mogul beyond her years, correct? Zendaya, born in Oakland, California. Anybody? She's built her career as an actress, singer, and fashion icon. Let's bring to the stage the wonderful, the amazing Zendaya. Hello. Thank you for coming. Can we get some glasses? Zendaya doesn't drink, but I do. So I'm gonna take a glass and we're gonna toast to something. Thank you. Everybody else needs to take a shot. But how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for taking this crazy trek. Can you tell them where you came from today?
I live in Northridge, so it took me a little minute to get here, but here we are.
But you're here.
But I'm here, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, while we're getting our drinks, I just want to say that one of the things that I love about you most is just the confidence that you exude. It's not arrogant in any way. It's just beautiful confidence, and it's something that you kind of need to possess when you do your profession and when you pursue the things that you do. So I just wonder, like when you wake up in the morning and you look in the mirror, how much you have to fight the urge to say, wow, these other bitches aren't even close. Like,
I can't.
Thank you so much.
You know, it's tough. It's no. Confidence is like, it's a learned thing, right? Like I always say to people who are working on their confidence, I always say it's like, just be easy on yourself. You know what I mean? Understand that confidence does not always happen overnight. Sometimes I make my mom an example. She was 50 when I think she truly gained her confidence. She decided to cut her hair and started getting tattoos and just went through this beautiful butterfly moment of really understanding who she is. So to me, it's like a lifelong thing that we're always understanding and learning about ourselves and appreciating about ourselves and trying to figure out who we are. So I've learned more and more to trust that feeling. And if it really does feel good to you all the way through, it's the right decision. And it will come, and you will feel that feeling. So I don't know, it's just something that I'm navigating and figuring out because I'm 23 years old, So it's like with each project that I do, I try to look at it from all angles, from all different perspectives. I ask people for their opinion because I want to know, but I don't allow it to change my gut feeling, right? I take into consideration without allowing somebody else to make my decision, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I mean, it's so easy to listen to naysayers. It's so easy to listen to doubters, especially, being a public figure, especially coming from, I feel like Disney is such a blessing, but also such a box, in that it could pigeonhole you. And, even with a role like the role that you play in Euphoria as Rue, or anything else that you've taken on, it'd be easy for people to be like, but can she do it? So,
oh yeah,
in
sure.
Thinking about that, how do you dismiss
But it's about being aware of that doubt, right? Because if I ignored it, then I would be trying to do things that I wasn't ready to do. I had to look at myself and go, oh, well, I am still that girl, and I get why people wouldn't think that I can do it. I get that. I haven't proven that I can. So it's about being a little bit more realistic and understanding why those opinions are happening. So it's like, okay, I get that. So that means whatever I do, whenever I do it, has to be so good to prove that I can do it. You know what I mean? So it's about, to me, it was about, taking smaller roles and doing things that were smaller and but elevated. So it's like, okay, if I want people to prove that I can do it, I'm gonna do small roles and not go for I'd rather be the lead in an amazing, a supporting role in an amazing movie than a lead in a bad one, right? So I was like, you know what, I'm just taking my time. I'm just gonna take my time, and I'm gonna start small and build and build and build. So by the time I'm ready to make that step, it feels realistic. It's not like You know
What's
what I'm
she doing?
saying?
Who the fuck does she think she is out here?
Right, exactly. So I wanted to build slowly, and I think that was like my number one thing is like I just don't want to rush anything. I just
But
want to take it slow.
What is it for you? Is it market research? Like, if you're the product, are you looking and seeing like, oh, do people think Zendaya could do it? Ooh, they don't. Okay, cool. You know, like, are you talking to your team? Are you gauging reactions on social media? Because I know you're not necessarily big on reading every single comment, but how are you gauging how people are viewing you? Where is that coming from?
I mean, a little bit like social media is helpful. But and talking to people and stuff like that, and just kind of like hearing what people of their ideas and what they think, because there's a line between like wanting to know what people think of you and then like just opening yourself up to like hurt, so it was just enough so that I can like be realistic about it. But also another thing that I feel like helped me create an avenue and a lane of my own that was outside of Disney Channel was fashion.
Was faction?
Yeah, like I would show up to shit I had no business being at just so I can get the look. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
So
Okay.
me and Law,
So you were crashing parties and being like, I'm here.
And I was called for years to be like, oh, the seat filler, she just shows up to everything. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, but I look good though, so how about that? Still on the best dress list. So that kind of became my thing to like get out of people seeing me in a certain way was I would dress very well at things I didn't need to be at. And then my thing was like, now I have to prove that I need to be here and I deserve to be here. So then that's when it gets fun.
What a cheat code.
When you best dress and you deserve to be there.
So go to every party you don't belong to and just dress well, okay? That really is the lesson. So we were talking backstage, and I told you I was gonna come for you because you rep Oakland. Ooh, go ahead, do it. I beat you. But like, you don't really fuck with LA.
Here's the thing, I have a love and hate relationship with LA. It's not that I don't enjoy it. I appreciate it, but I wish that the traffic was better. I wish I could walk somewhere.
You can walk anywhere you want. You got legs, long legs.
First of all, we all know we cannot do that here in New York. I mean, here in LA. In New York, you can walk around places. You can go to a cafe. You can you can have that experience. It's really that traffic. Whew.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's an industry city. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that, but like it can be a lot sometimes.
It doesn't have to be an industry city. I will say that I wore this Tupac shirt because Tupac was like born in Oakland, but like he is known for LA, and I feel like that could be your future. I'm the LA Welcoming Committee, so like just start repping it now. But I bring up LA because a lot of people's gripe about it is that it's hard to find your people, it's hard to find your community here, and you have made it. Ooh, come on.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So aggressive. But
the people
you have not ever been shy about shouting out the people who have kind of come up with you, who you work with, who you mess with. Darnell is here, who you always feature heavily. But can you talk about some of those people who have been important and instrumental to your journey, to your career, to your strategizing as an actress, as a mogul, businesswoman?
Yeah.
How you found them?
I mean, the biggest thing is like I have to just like credit my antisocial behavior to like the small circle thing, because that's just like I just don't do that. I'm just not like a very outgoing kind of go meet people kind of person anyway. So that helped me stay out of any kind of trouble and kept me safe. But then also on top of that, I have wonderful parents, who are both teachers and educators, and this industry is not their thing. They're not had no intention of being involved in it. And so we kind of had to figure it out as we went and made mistakes. And, you know, I've dealt with my share of bad contracts and getting into situations or business situations that I wish I didn't, or didn't have the knowledge or resources to know any better, or saying yes to things just to say yes because I had to. So I definitely have had those experiences, but I think over that, I think you just learn so much and learn about the idea of failure and what does that really mean, and if something doesn't go well, is it a failure? Is it a lesson? I don't know, you know, trying to figure that whole concept out. But I think my number one thing that I've learned is like, and I say it all the time, is contracts. Read those contracts. When I was a kid, I thought it was boring. I was like, I don't care.
I'm an
whatever.
adult and I think it's boring, but I need
but
to.
you have to.
I know.
And so now I do this thing, like any contract that I have, I have a notebook and I go through it and I basically just take notes on everything and I make it fun for my Virgo brain. I like color code shit and, you know, whatever, and I write everything down because we all know that like you can read something and like forget about it 2 seconds later, but if you write it out, it helps you remember it. And so I never get into a bad situation anymore because I read everything. And I don't leave it up to a lawyer who I trust and are great, but I want to be able to have those conversations as an adult on my own. And that's something that only failure and fucking up and not doing things right can teach you. You know, you're not going to understand contracts or understand your worth right away. People will always try to lowball you and make you feel like you are not worth what you are actually worth. And sometimes you also have to be realistic. You ain't there yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a balance and it's understanding that. And I think the people that I credit to that are, again, my parents. Again, they didn't know. They were just figuring it out with me, but they did the best they could to protect me and give me the resources and the knowledge that I could. They didn't want to hide anything from me because I wasn't, you know, I didn't want to wake up and you're 18, you're like, where's all my money? You know what I mean? They definitely weren't those parents, so I'm very lucky for that. But also just that really small circle that I guess is just me, Darnell, who's my assistant, but he's basically like a brother to me. My niece and my sisters but they all live like 10 minutes away from me, and that's it. Like I have like 2 friends, you know, kind of.
You said 2 friends or 2 ferns?
Friends.
I would believe either one.
But I mean, I don't know. I would say it's like, oh, keep your circle small, you know, whatever. But it's also just like I'm like not that exciting and like not very good at making friends, so that could be it too, you know. But we can go with the like, yeah, I'd like to keep my circle small.
A lot of people here want to be your friends, so I don't think it's you. Well, you identify as an introvert, a loner, which is very relatable, and I feel like a lot of that, I feel like in your case, and I don't want to speak for you, but you've been in the industry, you've been so visible for such a long time that it does feel like, you know, keep your circle tight, but you still have to go out there and, like you just said, you would show up to parties that you wouldn't be invited to,
Yeah.
which is like an introvert's nightmare. So what?
Well, I would do the carpet and
then bounce
and try to dip.
So many smart things.
I still do that.
That's a tip.
That's the tip. Do the carpet and bounce.
Well, I want to know, like, just as people who identify, because this is an industry where you kind of have to be extroverted, you have to sell yourself, you kind of have to be boisterous sometimes, like, brag about yourself. It's that. So for someone who doesn't identify that way or who doesn't feel like that's their strength, how do you navigate? How do you make yourself heard?
I had to learn how to small talk. Someone felt that. They said, ooh. That shit's hard. No, it's true. Because I'm very shy. I'm a shy person, but I'm also I was a very shy child, and acting kind of became the thing to like help me bring me out of my shell. But it's funny because when I would go to these things or events or whatever, like I think people thought I was like cold or whatever, but really all it was is I was just terrified and didn't want to talk to anybody because I didn't know what to say or anything like that. So I just kind of was like, or like on my phone or whatever. And so I had to learn how to like do the business chat, you know, the small talk and like, hey, nice to meet you. Oh, I haven't seen, da, da, da. And
No, you skipped that. You just yada, yada, yada. What's the small talk? Like, what are the small talk topics that you have mastered?
Small talk topics 101 with Zendaya. It's not how you say my name, by the way. It's a joke. I don't know. I just, you know, sounds so bad, but you have to pretend like you're interested in it, you know?
Wait, what?
You know, you have to pretend like you're really interested in the things
yeah.
that they might be saying, which is hard.
Then you're not starting the small talk conversations. You've mastered listening to small talk, is what you're saying?
Really what it is mastering asking questions, right? Right. As long as you can, like, ask them a few questions, like, they'll love you. So you just gotta, like, be like, oh, cool. Well, oh, what kind of things are you interested in? Oh, wow. You know, let him talk, let him talk, let him talk. Oh, that's crazy. Where at? You know, you don't have to reveal anything about yourself, whatever. And then they think, you know, that you have a connection and cool and, you know, whatever. And it works, you know, and you have to do it. In this industry, you have to do it. And I was so bad at it. And I feel like people thought I was an asshole. But I was really just like a shy teenager that didn't know how to talk to people. So I've gotten better at that. I guess people don't think I'm cold anymore for that reason. But it's also good for like, business relationships. I think I've been able to actually genuinely have better business relationships with people and be able to be like, oh, hey, how are you? Like, good to see you. Oh, and then we can talk about that, whatever they said last time that I actually remembered and retained that information. And now we can talk. And now we're talking about a project that we might work on together. And oh my gosh, let's go get coffee and let's do this and da-da-da. And then now you have somebody that you can say, oh yeah, I met so-and-so who's the head of whatever and blah, 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 blah. And now like you have a joke with each other because every time you see them, you ask about their dog or whatever it is. You know, so that kind of banter or whatever is important. And it's part of like, you know, the schmoozing and the whatever, it is kind of part of it. And it's just about being authentic and being true to yourself, but also, you know, you have to play the game a little bit, you know, it's part of it.
Yeah, it feels like you've kind of mastered being able to be taken seriously in a way just by showing, you know, the range that you have. So I guess in terms of deciding what you're pursuing, because obviously, like I mentioned, you came up as a model, actress, and then segued into this specific field of designing and being taken seriously as, you know, a fashion designer, a fashion icon. But there's so much more that you can do, and you haven't been shy about the fact that you don't necessarily know what the end game is. Yeah. So I guess how are you working towards that? And how are you not spinning out about the fact that, you know, you just mentioned earlier, you feel like opportunities may not present themselves always. You might feel like your time is running out. I know that that's my biggest fear, is just like, time is running out. It's over for me. It's over for you, bitch. Like, and that is a real fear. So do you feel pressure to figure out what else you're supposed to do beyond this, especially in the multi-hyphenate era?
Of course. I think my number one thing is I want to create a business or do something outside of this world that can exist on its own and I can do as a businesswoman. That's something I'm very interested in finding out and figuring out. But I don't know. It's weird because I do have goals. I do have things I want to create and want to do. But in a lot of ways, I don't, because I also have this idea that what if it doesn't make me happy tomorrow, right? And that's something my mom used to always tell me whenever I would get really stressed out or whatever, when I was a teenager working and shit just felt really like a lot, she would just say, you know, we can just go back to Oakland if you want. I'll go back to being a teacher, your dad go back to coaching and whatever, and we'll just go back to regular life. If that's what you want, if that's what you need, we can do that. And she would tell me all the time, and I'd be like, no, Mom, I'm good. Like, I'm fine, I'm just having a moment, whatever. But that reminder that it was about my mental happiness and where I was at, meant a lot to me. And it's something that like I believe. I believe that even though I love this right now, what happens if I wake up tomorrow and I'm like, I'm not happy, this doesn't make me happy anymore. And then I might want to do something else. And what does that look like? You know, what if I just am like, you know what, fuck it. I want to be I want to make pottery. That's what makes me really happy, and that's what I'm going to do.
Are you good at pottery?
I just took my first class like a month ago.
So you're not good at it? I don't know.
Let me know if you need some ceramics.
I don't. You said you took one class. I don't want your pottery.
I was good though. It was natural.
Says who? Okay.
So it's that idea. I mean, I hope that the passion doesn't run out, whatever. And I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it as much as I can. But I really want to put my peace as a human and my happiness at the forefront. And I used to think when I was a kid, I was like, I want to be like, the most famous person in the world, blah, 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 blah. And I don't feel like that anymore. I want and that's why I think acting allows that for me. I don't know if you feel that way, but acting allows for a character for people to fall in love with, but also like for my own anonymity and like a life of my own.
Absolutely.
Which music doesn't really afford. Like I think when you're a music artist, you kind of have to just it's your face all the time. Like it's you. And so that's another thing that kind of like scared me about music is like not really being able to have as much of a life.
Did you step away from music on purpose?
I stepped away from music on purpose because of bad contracts, to be honest with you. But
so you're still. Are they here? You want to point somebody out? Because of you, Michael.
Because the music industry is very different, right? It's very different from the movie and theatrical world. But yeah, I think beyond that, on emotional level, I think I kind of realized that, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to like have a part that still belongs to me. Absolutely. I want to still be able to enjoy my life and do things and. Yeah, I want to reach success, but I also want to like just be happy as a person, So whatever it is that makes me happy, like I really right now I'm like really on this like cinematography hype because of Euphoria, because of whatever. Like I'm really really into cinematography.
In terms of trying to learn it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
And understand it. Like of course directing, everybody's kind of like at some point wants to do that. Like I feel like every actor secretly wants to be a director as well. But cinematography really interests me, just like watching the lighting in Euphoria and how it happens and the way it conveys the story and what it can tell and what it can do is awesome. And I don't know a lot of like black female cinematographers. Shout out to that.
There are many.
So yeah, no, it's just very an interesting concept to me, and I want to learn like when we go back to do Euphoria. Like I've already told Marcel, our cinematographer, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna be bugging you, like teach me. Like I'm gonna be asking a lot of questions while I'm at work, because that's I think the best place to get as much knowledge as you can.
Yeah,
ask
you have
everybody
access.
Questions.
So. I guess within that, obviously you have access to a lot. I'm trying to decide which direction I want to ask this question. Okay, so you spoke earlier kind of about, you've alluded to the fact that you've had contractual issues. You've alluded to the fact that you have been burned in this industry, and I feel like everyone has a Hollywood or an industry burn story. What can you say that you know to watch out for? Like, what are the signs where you're like, don't fuck with you, or you're about to lie, or you're trying to scam me? Like, what do you? I would imagine that you've wised up now. It seems like you have.
Of course.
So, what are the telltale signs? Like, walk away.
The signs are on the paper that you have to read. You know what I'm saying? But it is. It's like. It's just really contracts. It's crazy, right? Like you can sign away so much. You can sign away like your rights, literally. So it's just being aware of that and doing the research. When I was dealing with like problems with certain contracts, I asked my lawyers for books, specific books that would like crash course. And I hate reading. Like I hate it. The only thing I can really
Shout out
read.
to Reading Rainbow.
The only thing I can really like get through is like Euphoria scripts. Everything else is like I can't. You know, I don't know why. It's not enjoyable to me. I get tired. Like immediately I'm just like, you know,
Terrible message.
That's bad. It's so bad. It's like such a millennial thing, right? But because I was so fascinated with understanding my contracts more and being able to look out for things and see what the tricks are and what does this fancy language mean, because that's what they do is they talk over your head. And so in order to do that, I said, hey, you know, give me the books that are going to give me like, you know, basically the real bullet points of what I really need to know. And I would go through those with like a highlighter or whatever and just kind of like, and find all the things. I'm like, what am I dealing with? Okay, I remember somebody saying something about this in a meeting. Oh, that's what you were saying. Got you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like collecting the information and then doing the research after. I just would like for people to not have to be burned first to do like the homework. Like, so if I can tell someone to do the homework first so that they don't have to go through like a shitty situation, I would. Also, if you get your Olivia Pope feeling, follow it. You know what I mean? Like, we all have that feeling where it's like, I don't know, does like 100 feel like right to me? And we either convince ourselves like, it's fine, or whatever. Just follow the instinct. And
but have you had an instance where you were like, this is... I mean, you spoke to it. You said, like, you know, I don't know if I'm going to have this opportunity again, so... Have you had a moment where you were just like, okay, it may not feel right, but it could be good for me, so I'm gonna go for it.
Yes.
So how do you?
Yes, I've had those moments.
And then, you know, have you been burned from those, or have you?
I mean, I wouldn't say there's burns, right? And then there's also just not feeling good about it, right? And like every time you have to do it, you're just like, I hate this. Like I'm just not happy. Like you go and you're like, I want to go home. Like I don't believe in it. I don't feel passionate about it. And it's just like you know when you're just doing something for the coin. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But I'm like, okay, like even in your case, I'm like, okay, I learned from the lesson, you know? And I think, you know, if I had gone through this and not been burned or been made to feel stupid or embarrassed, then I guess I wouldn't have had the lesson to take to know better later. So I almost want y'all to go out and get scammed, because it makes you never want, you don't want that, you know that you'll never let it happen again.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable within this industry. So I guess it is about the lessons that you take from it.
Yes, it's inevitable. I agree with you. I would do the homework, but, you know, being caught up in like something that doesn't turn out the way you want it is like life, you know? And the one thing I had to learn is not let it make me scared of trying things, because I was like, well, this didn't work out, and then this didn't work out, and this didn't go how I wanted. Like, damn. And then you're just like, you just don't want to do anything. You're like, it's with any creative, you know, it could be a script, it could be whatever, and it's just like fell through, and you're like now you're just scared to even try. And so that's another thing that I kind of went through, where I was just like, I just want to say no to everything, because I'm worried that it's just not going to turn out, and then it's just going to fail like the last thing, you know. And so I had to teach myself that it was a lesson, right? Now these are things I know to look out for. These are signs. This is when somebody says this, that really means this. And, you know, it just took the lesson, right? And to look at it as a lesson instead of a failure, and to not make me afraid of doing things, right? Which it can easily do. Especially when it's like there's a lot on the line, you know what I mean? When there's so many people watching.
So I shared earlier one of the stories that led me to discover you is just kind of a proclamation of your blackness, of your hair, of black beauty, and just within the industry, one of the things that I get approached about all the time is just people being like, how do I tell this particular story without, like, in the most authentic way without kind of downplaying my blackness or trying to downplay my culture or whatever it is, just so that I could make it palatable for mainstream audiences. And I'm like, you shouldn't have to do that. It's your story. So just in your own experience, have you ever had situations where you had to, because you've been very proud about, your collaborations, just about who you are, where you come from. Have you had instances, or how many instances have you had, or how often have you had instances, even now, where you've had to discredit your blackness or downplay it or, put it to the side? And, how does that make you feel if it does happen?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I've never actually been asked that before. Yeah, I don't know. I think I remember there was one time that I was doing a cover for a magazine when I was much younger, and I had a publicist, and I wasn't happy with my hair and makeup, and she said, I wouldn't really stir the pot because I haven't had a black girl on the cover in a really long time, so let's not, And so I was like, oh, we're not going to work together anymore. Because I am allowed to say that I don't like my hair and makeup and fix it. You know what I'm saying? Whether they've had one on the cover or not, whatever, So that was just okay, so we're not on the same page, So there's instances like that and whatever, but I have been fortunate enough to be in positions where I didn't have to do that a lot of the time, which is not always the case for everyone, even when I did Casey Undercover, and my requests and what I wanted out of that, which I was still very young and still kind of learning, so I didn't really understand my voice entirely at that point, but I was figuring it out, and then beyond that, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's constantly navigating it, and I think for me, and what I admire so much about you as well is we always have this concept that there can only be one, right? And when you get through the door, you want to close the door because there's just one slot, and we have to change that mentality because otherwise, how are the opportunities going to happen, And so when you see creatives who are able to open doors and open opportunities and allow for other creatives to come in, that's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, and I want to be able to continue to get to that point where I can do that, and I'm still kind of working to it. I'm not necessarily, Ava DuVernay who can just boom, this is what's happening, but I'm on my way, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to be a platform for other people and other black creatives to be creative, because it's not a lack of talent, it's a lack of opportunity. And so, we have to share our opportunities and to share our knowledge with each other, and give each other as much encouragement and advice and stories and understanding as much as we can. We have to share that information with each other, because that's the only way that we're going to figure it out, and that's the only way that we're going to continue to open those doors, really.
And progress.
And that was when it came to when we did the Tommy Hilfiger show with Law, who's my stylist, who is also my creative partner with everything. He's brilliant beyond just picking clothes. He can see things creatively that is magical. I feel like I'm not that creative of a person. I can execute things very well, but I can't just imagine something up out of thin air, and he's very good at that. So we work well together. And one of the things that we did with our first Tommy Hilfiger show was we wanted to pay homage to Black beauty and to all the Black models that paved the way for any of us to be in that space.
Was that the one in Paris?
In Paris,
recently?
yeah. And it was based off Battle of Versailles and what that kind of meant at the time in fashion. And it was a celebration, and it was saying thank you to all those women who walked. Many of them walked like Beverly Johnson and Beverly Peel and numerous others, but it was saying thank you for opening those doors. And I think that, like, I don't know, it's just like just to say thank you, you know, and give that appreciation that is never really given, and hopefully inspired the younger girls who are coming under them to do the same for the younger girls coming under them, the younger girls coming under them, and continue that cycle of door opening, if you will. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's something that I'm still working to the point where I can have more power to be able to say, this is what I'm doing. So I have a little bit more time till I get there, but I'm definitely doing the work in my own way, when I can, and when I can request it, and when I can have it, or bring someone in, or share knowledge, or share information that I have. That's what I want to do.
I've just never been more confident that someone was gonna run shit, and I just can't wait for you to do that, because you're just, you know, capable beyond measure. So,
thank you.
Our time is up, but I want to thank Zendaya so much. We have.
Thank you.
A couple of questions that we pre-picked. I think Vanessa, we don't have time for questions. Girl, you didn't say 10 minutes for questions. You said
I'm fine.
Oh, we didn't do the pre-questions, so we were talking to real people. My bad. Okay. I thought you were like, no questions, bitch. You took too long. So we're talking to real people. We're talking to y'all. Do we have a mic in the audience? Oh yes, I have to give my disclaimer. Please don't tell your whole life story. Actually ask a question. Keep in mind that our questions are limited, and keep in mind that someone else wants to ask a question too, so don't take up the whole time, please, and thank you. And then we'll give priority to our patrons. So if you're a patron, raise your hand. Don't lie, we gonna know. Gift your hand. Hey, what up, fam?
Hi.
Hey. I'm a really big fan. I'm not a creative, however. I'm actually a doctor. And I had a really horrible...
Casual. I'm not a creative, however, I am a doctor.
Yeah.
Love that.
My question is it's a really heavy question. It's about worthiness. I actually, this morning, I just moved from Atlanta to here, and I work in Beverly Hills. And and they brought a patient into my room, and immediately, before I can even do anything, the first thing that they said was, "Don't you want to wait for the doctor to get here?" And I've been in school for 13 years, and it breaks my heart. Like I literally just told my friend, it breaks my heart because I've been in school for so long. And outside of being medical school, as an actor, I just want to ask the both of you, when do you feel worthy? Like, it broke my whole day. Like, I had a horrible day today, only because I feel like, when will I feel worthy?
She just asked, when will she feel worthy? It fucked up our whole day today, to paraphrase. And when do you feel worthy?
Whew. I'm sorry that happened to you, because you are 1,000% worthy. You have done the work. And it's not your fault that people don't see that. I don't necessarily know if I have like an answer to that question, because again, I'm 23, so it's something that I too am understanding and figuring out and mulling over. And who's to say that we ever really find the answer? But I think worthiness is a self thing, right? It's the concept of, what do I think I'm worth? And again, it's that idea of not being like cocky or anything or whatever, but if you've done the work, if you put in the hours and the time, yeah, you're fucking worth it. Are you kidding? If you work harder and harder than anybody else in the room and can deliver is just as much as any other counterpart, of course you're worthy. And I think it's just always reminding ourselves of that, no matter how many times people doubt or challenge that. It's a self reminder, like, no, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be here. And I think that, again, that's something I have to like continue to learn and tell myself, because I mean we all, I think, question that always. But yeah, well, let me know if you figured out.
You're a fucking doctor, bruh. Like, I would have been like, excuse me, ask me that question again and then say, excuse me, doctor, when will the other doctor be here? Like, you have to call me doctor everything. Excuse me, doctor, can you pass the salt? So, like, just start doing that and you'll feel worthy enough in no time. Next question, please. And I'm sorry that happened to you.
Hello. Hi, I'm the mother of a child performer also, and I just want to say, it's not really a question, it's just thank you, because like I nodded my head so much that I think I'm gonna need a doctor, because I related to like you are the older version of my kid, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the things that you experienced and your parents went through, your stories, resonate with myself and my husband. I just want to say thank you for this, because it's the most in-depth I've heard you speak. So I just want to say thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Can I say this is the mother of Marseille Martin, who is also like a mini mogul too, so shouts to the fam.
Hi, Zendaya and Issa. My name's Stephanie. I'm a lawyer and a writer, so I definitely know about those contracts and the reading. It's a lot. I just wanted to say you looked phenomenal at the Emmys. And so apparently there's a case study on Twitter, and that was my question, because apparently this girl has done a case study on you about your left leg stance. So I just wanted to know, like, is there, yep. Is it patented? Like, is there an art to this? Like, I just want to know, because it's about creatives, right? So.
I don't know what it is about my left leg.
Is it doing it right now?
No, it's a thing that, like, basically all my dresses, I request that my slit be on my left leg.
Oh.
And I do like this step on the red carpet. I don't know when it started, but it makes me feel good. And I don't know what it is about my left leg. I don't know. She wants the attention, and I let her live.
So, doctor, did you hear that? You gotta like get a split on your left leg. Instant worth. Instant. Next question.
Hello.
Okay.
Is it working?
I'm Kirby. I'm a writer and director, and I had a
It works.
question that was part craft and part fashion. I really loved getting to see Rue's styles over the course of Euphoria Season 1. I was wondering if you could talk about the glitter and also what it's like inhabiting someone whose expression and style are so different than your own.
Interesting. One thing that's actually very interesting to me is anybody who like really knows me knows that like personality-wise, me and Rue are very similar. So as far as like maybe our mannerisms and things like that, I met the creator of our show, Sam Levinson, and Rue is basically like kind of loosely based off his own story. And when we met, I immediately knew that there was something like very similar about us as people, which is interesting because we don't really have technically a lot in common. But when we're on set, like we like the same shit. We talk about the same stuff. We have the same opinions on things. We sit the same, the way we like hold ourselves, and we'll look over and like, you know what I mean? And it's very interesting. So that happened that way. So Rue feels very comfortable to me. She feels like another version of myself. I don't know. I don't feel like, when people feel like, oh, I have to really get into character. I have to, da-da-da. I don't feel that way with her. I feel like I'm literally just stepping into like a pair of shoes I've worn my whole life, and it feels very comfortable. I know when she's taking over, in a sense, like in my body, but I also feel like it's like comfortable. I don't know how else to explain it. And she feels like a little sister or something. She feels close to me. And as far as like her clothes and things like that, and her makeup and everything on the show, we are lucky to have an incredible team of people who collaborate with us very closely and take an emotional approach to makeup and to clothing and things like that, like where the character arcs, where they're headed, where they feel like it's interpreted through color, it's interpreted through how much makeup we give Rue, because if she's clean or if she's, however she feels reflects how she looks, obviously. So if she's in love and she's happy, we might add a little bit more cheek that day, and make her look more flush. So it's a very like emotional process. But also, like, for example, like the hoodie. I love the hoodie story. It's Sam had written this like giant hoodie. Rue's always in a big hoodie, and I remembered when my grandfather passed when I was like 11. You have like, when people pass, you have like a attachment to inanimate objects that they touched or whatever. You're just like, they wore this or they touched this, and it becomes like a prized possession, even if it's just a hoodie. And my mom had it with my grandfather's car, that he didn't give a shit about this car. Like, he didn't care. It wasn't like he was a car guy or was a fancy car or a cool car. It was just like a normal car, and he used it to get to work. But my mom, like, rode that shit till the wheels fell off, because she was like, this is my dad's car. And it was a thing. It was like, it kind of still has a smell, and the senses that you go through when you have something of a loved one that you are trying to like keep and hold on to. So I had this whole actor thing in my head. I was like, can we make, like, for me, the backstory I'm going to say that is like, it's her dad's hoodie, and then talking to Heidi, our costume designer, about it. I was like, hey, can we, if you could, get in some of the flashbacks in the pilot, could you like put it on him so maybe people will notice? That would be kind of cool. And she was like, yeah, for sure. And so it's actually on him in the pilot. And to me, I felt like something, like, was an emotional thing beyond just like a maroon hoodie. It became a character thing. It became something that people in the audience could connect to and relate to, and feel emotionally attached to as well. So it's like, when you get to the later parts, not to spoil anything, and she smells the hoodie, that was just me being like, that's what I did with my grandfather's stuff, is I just smelled it. And then, Sam will write it into the script. So I'm very lucky to have like this group of people that I can talk to. And I'm like, hey, let's have a discussion, and then your ideas can actually end up in the script or whatever. And we have like these talks together. So that was a lot to just say that it's fun and I enjoy working there.
That's amazing. That's elaborate. That's fun. That's a craft. I love that. Any other questions?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Amber. I just have I guess it's kind of like a fun, whimsical question. I work in the industry. I have a lot of things that I want to do, like everybody does. But I have like a lifelong dream of wanting to get a cartoon made and produced, like a little black girl cartoon.
Yes.
So that black girls and black boys, have like a magical, happy cartoon to look for, and that's
Love
like a
that.
lifelong dream of mine. I was wondering, you have a lot of like things that you want to do. Do you have like a lifelong dream that you want to just accomplish that's just like personal?
Yes, I have one that has nothing to do with the industry whatsoever. My mom used to, she taught in Oakland, in the inner city of Oakland, at a school named Fruitvale Elementary School. And she's taught there my whole life. And she was fifth grade, responsible for fifth grade. And every year she would raise money on her own to take her students to outdoor science camp, which is something that is not funded in any way. I mean, we barely have, food or pencils and paper, much less the opportunity for kids to go out into nature and experience it and see trees and understand about the earth and the world and have this very like beautiful, cathartic, amazing experience. And so my mom raised the money on her own every year to take her kids up there, and she ran it herself with my family and with my dad and my siblings who were all like counselors and stuff. And a lot of people, you know, once they got older would come back and accredit that experience to changing their life or saving their life. And so when I was maybe 13 years old, it was, I think the YMCA owned it or something, but it got sold and we couldn't go there anymore. So my lifelong dream is to raise enough money or make enough money to buy it back and make it a full-time functioning place that no student or teacher has to pay for, so that any inner city students can go and have this amazing experience and heal and just be within nature, which I think is very healing, and have an experience that they otherwise wouldn't have or don't have the school district to have. So yeah, that's like my big dream. I haven't even said that to anybody outside of my family. So, you know what I'm saying? So catch me in the next 5 years, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm trying to make it happen. So yeah, that would be something I would want to do.
Y'all see what the fuck I'm talking about? I'm so pleased. We have time for one more question, so don't mess this up for everybody. Make it a good one.
Hello.
Hey, it's on you.
My name is Bernard. I just moved here from Chicago in hopes of pursuing my acting career.
Come on.
Thank you. So just actor to actor. Sorry. What would it? Or what space do you get into, or what mindset do you have to get into in order to assimilate into a character? Speaking from Rue, MJ, Casey, whoever it may be, what steps did you take to in order to like completely be this person and, you know,
Right.
live their life?
You know, it's interesting because Euphoria was the first time that I got it. You know when people talk about stuff in acting and you're like, okay. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, sure, like
Right.
recall from an emotion, like, you know, it's like bullshit, right? It's not bullshit, actually. It's quite real. And before, not saying that I didn't have anything that I couldn't emotionally, like, go there with, but I didn't. Like, I didn't have anything that I had to, like, strip myself down and really deal with my issues, like, whatever it is. I didn't really have an opportunity to do that. And I always thought that when I did get to that point, I just act. I'm like, yeah, I'll just, like, cry, and, like, it'll happen, and, like, whatever, you know? I'll pretend that's my job. And Euphoria was the first time that I wasn't pretending. You know, I understood the value of allowing yourself to feel things all the way through, because I am not a feeler. I don't like to feel things. I think, you know, I've always thought like, oh, that makes you weak if you feel stuff and whatever, and like bottle it and all that kind of stuff. And so I had to be very, very exposed and allow myself to dig up things that I thought I dealt with and deal with it on camera, which is scary. And so when people are watching my performance or people are watching me act, it's 10,000 billion gazillion times more terrifying, because they're not watching me act. They're watching me cry about some shit in my life just through Rue. She is just my catalyst to deal with whatever I'm dealing with. And that's scary. But that's you have to do it, you know. You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable and do it healthy. You know, you have to allow yourself to like be able to like deal with it and decompress and then like let go. You know what I mean? And once you've dealt with it, then let it go, so you can go home and be happy. But I found it to be very cathartic and very healing in a lot of ways, as someone who doesn't like to feel. It helped me get in touch with like my own feelings and feel shit, which is so weird and so uncomfortable, but I think is like the foundation of human existence is feeling, you know. So as an actor, I found out that it's actually not bullshit, and those things that people say and all the methods that people have come up with are actually real, and they exist, and it's like a whole thing. Weird. Yeah, who thought, you know? Thank you.
Well, you guys, let's thank Zendaya once again thank you so much, girl. Freaking amazing. I think we mentioned earlier, but Zendaya hates LA, but if you're here, we are gonna have like a Find Your People party soon. So patrons, if you want to sign up for Patreon, you'll be able to do that. You can still do that. At the end, you'll be the first to know, but we're out here doing things constantly. A sip will continue with amazing guests like this. So thank you all for coming out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And enjoy
Thank
your
you
evening. Please.
for having me, and thank you for putting
A
this together.
pleasure.
This is beautiful.